I woke up in a hospital bed and found out my own daughter had sold my workshop while I was sedated. She said it was necessary. The paperwork said otherwise. If you've ever been betrayed by family over money or control, share your experience in the comments. A voice reached me before my eyes opened. Someone said my name slow and careful, like testing whether it still belonged to me. Another voice followed, clipped and professional, explaining the anesthesia had gone well, and I needed to take it easy. A clipboard brushed against my arm. A nurse asked who should be listed as my emergency contact. My phone buzzed on the tray beside the bed. The screen lit up, went dark, then lit up again. Missed call. Maria Alvarez. I tried to lift my hand. It didn't cooperate the first time. By the time my fingers closed around the phone, the call had dropped. The curtain shifted. Emily stepped in, already talking. They sold it, she said, like she was giving me the weather. The workshop. It was the only way to deal with the debt. The words landed out of order. Sold what? Which debt? She stood near the foot of the bed, arms folded, eyes fixed on the floor tiles, as if they were more cooperative than I was. Sold, I repeated. She nodded. It's done. Papers are signed. Funds are already applied. A nurse paused, glanced at us, then finished checking the IV without asking questions. The doctor gave a short look, said we'd talk later, and moved on. Show me the documents, I said. They're with the buyer's attorney, Emily replied. I didn't think you'd want them here. Not now. The phone vibrated again. Maria's name filled the screen. This time I answered. They put the sign up this morning, she said. No greeting, no pause. Different company name. New locks on the doors. Emily stiffened when she heard Maria's voice through the speaker. What sign? Emily asked too fast. Metal sign, Maria said. Bolted. Looks permanent. I swung my legs off the bed. The floor felt farther away than usual. You're not cleared to leave, the nurse said. I'm leaving, I replied. Emily moved closer. Dad, don't do this right now. You need rest. Maria stayed on the line. Robert, I can meet you at the bank. There are transfers you need to see. Emily reached for the phone. It didn't get far. We'll talk later, I said to Maria, then ended the call. Paperwork appeared. Discharge forms. Liability warnings. Someone explained risks. A pen slid into my hand. My name came out steady enough. Emily hovered near the door, tapping at her screen. You're overreacting, she said. This was practical. You taught me to be practical. No answer came back. Shoes went on. A jacket followed. The nurse reminded me about medication. The doctor mentioned follow-up appointments. None of it slowed the process. We rode the elevator down without speaking. Emily stepped off first, already texting. The doors closed between us, then opened again to the lobby. The truck rolled into the gravel lot the way it always had, tires crunching out of habit. That habit broke the second the building came into view. A new sign hung above the doors. Fresh Bolts. A name I didn't recognize. Two men stood near the loading bay, arguing about a pallet like they'd been doing it for years. Parking took longer than usual, not because of traffic, but because nothing lined up where it should have. One of the men noticed me watching. He walked over, wiping his hands on his jeans. Can I help you? He asked. I'm looking for the owner, I said. That'd be Northridge Custom Works now, he replied. I'm the site manager. My name is Robert Hale. He nodded, once not impressed. We've got paperwork. A folder appeared from the cab of a nearby truck. He flipped it open and pointed. My name sat at the bottom of the page. Printed. Signed. Clean. That's not my signature, I said. That's what's on file, he replied. Sale closed last week. The argument didn't stretch far. He wasn't rude, just certain. Certainty backed by paper doesn't need much volume. A forklift beeped behind him. Someone shouted for a delivery slip. Business moved on. The truck turned around without shutting the engine off. The bank sat 5 miles away, same branch I'd used since the workshop was still a rented shed. A teller I recognized waved me over, then hesitated when she saw my face. "I need to see the transfer tied to the workshop sale," I said. Her fingers slowed on the keyboard. She checked the screen twice. "The funds went through," she said. "They were applied directly to an outstanding personal account." "Whose account?" She swallowed. "Emily Hale's. A supervisor joined us. Policy got mentioned. Privacy rules followed. My name unlocked just enough. Past due credit lines," the supervisor said. "Auto loan. 2 cards. A consolidation note. How much? Enough to zero them out." The chair scraped back harder than intended. The teller avoided my eyes. Paper slid across the counter. Numbers stacked neatly like they'd been waiting for this moment. Outside, the phone buzzed again. Maria stood by her car, waving a folder like a flag. She hadn't called ahead. "I figured you'd come here," she said. The folder landed on the hood between us. Old statements, guarantees, my name circled in ink from years ago. "You covered for her more than you think," Maria said. 3 times I can prove. Probably more. "That was temporary," I replied. "Temporary became routine," she said. Everyone noticed. "You just never pushed back," a man from the shop texted. Then another. Word moved fast among people who shared suppliers and lunch counters. "You still taking custom orders?" one message read. Another followed before I answered. "Already placed a deposit." Should I worry? Maria watched the screen light up. "This is the part where it spreads," she said. "Not because people gossip, because uncertainty scares them." The phone rang again. Emily, this time. "I didn't have a choice," she said before anything else. "Everything was piling up. You sold property you don't own." "I handled it," she snapped. "Like you always do." Messages kept coming, apologies mixed with explanations. Then a longer one blaming interest rates, bad timing, everyone but herself. Maria shook her head. "She's building a case," she said. "Not legally. Emotionally." A cancellation email came through from a cabinet maker in Ames. Another followed from a contractor who'd worked with me for 10 years. No anger, just distance. "People don't like standing near smoke," Maria said, "even if they don't see fire." The bank door opened and closed behind us. Someone laughed on the sidewalk. Life stayed on schedule. "I can call a lawyer," she added, "the one who handled the trust updates." "Set the meeting," I said. The phone vibrated again. Emily's name flashed, then disappeared when it went to voicemail. Maria gathered her papers. "I'll send you everything I have," she said. "And Robert, don't answer her right now." The law office sat a few blocks from the courthouse, close enough that parking rules changed every other hour. I fed the meter twice more out of habit than patience, then followed the receptionist down a narrow hallway. The attorney didn't waste time. She opened a drawer, pulled a thick file, and set it between us. "This goes back 20 years, she said. "Family trust, established after your first expansion." Pages moved, tabs flicked. Her finger stopped on a section marked Asset Schedule. "The workshop isn't titled to you personally," she said. "It's held by the trust. That's not what Emily said." "She couldn't sell it," the attorney replied. "Not legally. Any agreement she signed has no standing." The chair creaked as I leaned forward. The sentence didn't land like relief. It landed like a problem with sharper edges. "The buyer won't like hearing that," she continued. "They'll push back, hard. How hard? Threats, claims of reliance. They'll say they acted in good faith." A phone buzzed on the desk. She silenced it and slid a form toward me. "This gives us a way to pause things," she said. "Temporary freeze on any transfer tied to the property." The pen moved. The signature came out slower than usual, but steady. Walking back to the street, a call came through before the door closed behind me. "This is Mark Jensen," the voice said. "Representing North Ridge. What do you want?" "To keep this amicable," he replied. "Our client invested based on signed documents signed by someone without authority." A short pause followed. Then a change in tone. "We can settle this without involving the trust," he said. "Save everyone time. That's not happening." "We'll revisit," he replied, and ended the call. Maria rang before the phone slid back into my pocket. "She's telling people you're not competent," Maria said. "No build-up, cousins, an uncle, anyone who'll listen. Since when? Since this morning. Traffic moved around us. Someone honked. The city kept pace. She's laying groundwork," Maria added. "If this turns formal, I figured." The attorney's email chimed in with a confirmation. "Filing accepted. Freeze pending review." Back at the truck, a flyer rested under the wiper. Community planning session. Rezoning discussion. The workshop address printed in bold. The phone rang again. A cousin this time. "Heard you're not doing well," he said. "Emily's worried." "I'm handling it. She's under a lot of stress," he replied. "Maybe let her manage things for now." The call ended without an answer on either side. At home, paperwork spread across the table. Old trust statements, correspondence I hadn't read in years. Maria dropped off copies she'd scanned, then stayed long enough to point at a few lines. "See this," she said. "You set it up so no single beneficiary could act alone. That was the idea. She acted anyway." Another message from North Ridge came through. A request for a meeting. Neutral language. Firm deadline. The attorney called to confirm next steps. "They may challenge your capacity," she said. "It's common. They can try." "Attend the planning session," she added. "Public record matters." The flyer sat where I'd left it. Time, date, location. Emily texted again. "You're making this worse than it needs to be." No reply went out. Evening brought more calls. Some supportive, others cautious. A supplier asked whether to hold shipments. A former employee asked if his job was safe. The meter receipt from downtown slipped out of my pocket when I stood. A small thing. Still counted. The planning session reminder got pinned to the fridge with a magnet shaped like a clamp left over from a trade show years ago. Shoes stayed by the door. Keys went on the hook. The phone charged without interruption. A final email came in from the attorney. "Freeze is in effect," it read. "Be prepared for questions." The gate didn't budge when I pulled it. A chain ran through the handles newer than anything else on the property. A laminated notice hung from it, clipped with a plastic tie. "Authorized personnel only." A pickup rolled past and parked near the loading bay. A man stepped out, checked a clipboard, then noticed me. "You can't be here," he said. "This is my shop." "Not today," he replied, tapping the notice. "Orders from North Ridge." The phone came out. He didn't bother lowering his voice. "Yeah, he's here now," the man said. "No, he's not causing trouble. Just standing." A printed letter arrived by email before I reached the truck. Formal tone. Header from a downtown firm. Words like interference and disruption showed up twice in the first paragraph. At the bottom sat a signature and a deadline. "Cease activities immediately." Another message followed this one shorter. "Failure to comply may result in legal action." The drive home took less time than expected. Traffic moved fast when there was nowhere to stop. Emily's car sat in the driveway. She stood on the porch when I pulled in arms wrapped around herself, eyes red. "Please," she said before the door closed. "Don't make this worse." "Step aside," I said. She followed into the kitchen, talking without pause. "You don't understand what position I'm in," she said. "They're coming after me. I thought if you stayed out of it, you thought wrong." Tears came next, loud, sudden. She reached for a chair and missed it, landing on the edge of the table. "I was trying to protect us," she said. "This was supposed to help. By selling property you don't control, they didn't know that she shot back. They trusted the signature. So did you." A knock interrupted us. The courier handed over a thick envelope, waited for a signature, then left without comment. Emily wiped her face with her sleeve. "If you push this, they'll bury me," she said. "Just let it go." The envelope opened on the counter. Another notice. This one confirmed the challenge to the freeze. Emergency motion filed. Hearing requested. Emily backed toward the door. "Think about what you're doing," she said. "People already think you're not well." The door closed behind her without a reply. Maria called an hour later. 2 clients signed new agreements, she said. Northridge offered discounts and faster delivery. Names, she gave them. Familiar ones, long histories. No apologies attached. "They're covering themselves," Maria added. "Can't blame them." A voicemail from the attorney came through while we talked. "They're contesting the freeze," she said, "claiming operational harm." Another call followed. Same attorney this time, Liv. "If this drags," she said, "they'll argue you're interfering without standing." What does that mean? It means they keep working the shop while we argue. And I stay out, for now. The day filled with movement that went nowhere. Suppliers asked where to send invoices. A former foreman asked whether to show up Monday. A neighbor mentioned seeing unfamiliar trucks at odd hours. Emily texted twice more. "You're ruining everything. This didn't have to happen." No response went out. Late afternoon brought another email from Northridge, a revised letter more polite, still firm. Invitation to resolve matters quietly. A reminder about costs. Maria stopped by with a folder under her arm. "They're locking you out by attrition," she said. "Bleeding trust, bleeding time." The folder opened to a spreadsheet. Revenue projections, loss estimates, numbers that assumed the current situation would hold. "They expect you to blink," she added. The phone rang again. "The attorney's number." "You need to act publicly," she said. "Soon." "How soon?" "Within the week. Otherwise they frame the narrative." The call ended. Maria gathered her things. "I'll keep tracking accounts," she said. "And Robert, don't go back there alone." The door closed. Evening settled into routines that didn't fit. Dinner got skipped, paperwork stacked and unstacked, messages checked and ignored. The letter from the buyer stayed on the counter, weighed down by the folder Maria left behind. The planning session flyer remained on the fridge date, circled in pen, that no one remembered picking up. The phone buzzed once more. The attorney again. "They're moving fast," she said. "If you don't step into the open next week, they'll keep erasing you." The lawyer's office filled up before 9. A junior associate brought coffee no one touched. Papers kept arriving by email, each one carrying a different version of the same message: resolve this now, or pay more later. Northridge's attorney spoke first, voice smooth through the speakerphone. "Our client is prepared to offer a settlement," he said. "This avoids reputational damage on all sides." A number followed. It sounded generous until the conditions appeared. Silence. No admission. "Permanent transfer. That assumes they own the asset," my attorney replied. "Assumes the dispute drags," he said back. "And drags publicly." The call ended without agreement. Another message waited in the inbox. Subject line: medical documentation. Emily's name attached. The attachment opened to a psychologist's letter. Clinical language, dates highlighted, phrases circled in yellow, temporary impairment, stress-related confusion, a suggestion that others assist with major decisions. My attorney scanned it, jaw tightening. "She's building a record," she said. "This isn't about concern." A reply from Northridge followed within minutes. "We understand capacity may be an issue," the email read. All the more reason to settle promptly. Paper slid across the desk. Trust documents, amendments, old notes written in margins I barely remembered making. You set this up carefully, the attorney said. Multiple layers. No single beneficiary with unilateral power. That was intentional, I replied. To protect the business and the people tied to it. She nodded once, including from each other. Maria called as I stepped outside. If you stay off the record, she said, the version floating around becomes official. Which version? That you're not capable. That others stepped in. Lunch came from a drive-through near the highway. Food cooled untouched while emails stacked up again. A cousin forwarded Emily's message asking for patience. A former employee asked whether payroll would clear. Northridge sent a revised settlement offer slightly worse than the first. City Hall buzzed with ordinary complaints when the planning session started. Zoning maps on the wall, chairs half-filled. I took a seat near the back. A developer spoke about efficiency. A council member asked about traffic flow. Someone mentioned job creation. The workshop address came up more than once, always spoken as if it belonged to the future tense. New ownership has expressed interest, one planner said. A man behind me whispered, heard the old owners not well. No correction followed. Maria sat 2 rows ahead. She didn't turn around. My name stayed absent from the discussion. Not removed, just unnecessary. The microphone switched hands. A council member called for final comments before moving on. The trust file rested in my bag heavier than paper should feel. Standing took longer than expected. Chairs scraped, a few heads turned. I need a procedural clarification, I said. The chair nodded. Go ahead. The property referenced is held by a family trust, I continued. Any transaction without trustee approval is invalid. Murmurs followed. A planner shuffled papers. Someone from Northridge leaned forward. Sir, the chair said, can you submit documentation? Already filed, my attorney said from the side aisle. We're requesting it be entered into the record. The room shifted. Pens paused. The developer's phone dropped back into his pocket. A council member cleared his throat. We'll need to review that. That's fine, I replied. Until then, the assumption of ownership needs to be corrected. The chair nodded again, slower this time. Noted. The meeting moved on, but the tone had changed. Less certainty, more caution. Outside, Maria caught up near the steps. You waited long enough, she said. Too long. She checked her phone. Northridge just emailed. They want to talk again. The phone rang before the words finished settling. My attorney's number. They weren't expecting you to speak, she said. That changes leverage. The chair called the meeting back to order with a tap that didn't quite settle the room. Folders shifted. Phones went face down. A planner cleared his throat and nodded toward my attorney. She stood without ceremony. For the record, she said, the property at issue is held by the Hale Family Trust. Any sale requires trustee consent. That consent was never given. A hand shot up across the aisle. Northridge's counsel didn't wait to be recognized. That's an interpretation, he said. Our client relied on executed documents. My attorney slid copies across the table. This is the trust agreement, Section 7, Asset Transfers. A council member leaned in to read. Another asked for a copy. The planner's pen stopped moving. Northridge's counsel raised his voice. If you're alleging fraud, say it plainly. Fraud requires intent, my attorney replied. We're stating fact, the chair interjected. Let's keep this focused. Northridge's counsel nodded, then turned toward me. Mr. Hale authorized this transaction. That's false, my attorney said. Then we'll seek damages, he replied. For interference, for reputational harm. Before threats, the chair said we need clarity. My attorney opened another folder. The signature on the sale agreement does not match Mr. Hale's known signatures. Additionally, the execution date coincides with a documented medical procedure. A murmur rolled through the room. Someone whispered a question that didn't get answered. Northridge's counsel leaned back. Coincidence? Hospital records confirm sedation, my attorney said. During the window, the documents were signed. The chair's expression hardened. Who signed on his behalf? All eyes moved toward Emily. She sat stiffly near the wall, hands clenched around her phone. I needed money, she said. That's all. Northridge's counsel turned to her. Where did the proceeds go? She hesitated. To cover expenses, which account, the chair asked. A pause followed. Then, mine. My attorney didn't speak. She slid a bank statement forward instead. The planner adjusted his glasses. This indicates personal debt repayment. Emily's voice sharpened. It was temporary. Northridge's counsel stood. This is turning into an ambush. This is becoming a legal issue, the chair replied. Potentially criminal. That word landed harder than the rest. Phones came back out. A clerk whispered to the city attorney. Northridge's counsel pointed toward me. If this proceeds, will pursue an investigation into Mr. Hale's conduct. For what, the chair asked. For obstruction, he said, and false representations. I never authorized the sale, I said. The words came out once. No follow-up. The city attorney spoke next. Given the information presented, this matter exceeds the scope of zoning review. The chair nodded. Agreed. Emily stood abruptly. You're all overreacting, she said. This was a family issue. It became public when paperwork was filed, the chair replied. We're pausing this review. A gavel struck. Meeting adjourned pending legal resolution. Chairs scraped. Conversations overlapped. Northridge's counsel spoke rapidly into his phone. Emily pushed past a clerk without looking back. My attorney gathered documents. This won't stay contained, she said. Expect inquiries. Outside the room, a reporter approached, microphone half raised. No comment, my attorney said, stepping between us. The hallway filled with movement. People from the meeting blended with staff heading home. A security guard asked everyone to keep the exit clear. Maria appeared near the stairwell. They're scrambling, she said. Northridge's counsel brushed past us, jaw set. We'll be in touch, he said, not slowing. Emily lingered near the elevators. She looked smaller there, pressed against the wall. You didn't have to do this, she said. This wasn't my choice, I replied. She opened her mouth, then closed it. The doors slid shut between us. My attorney checked her phone. The trust board will want statements, she said. So will the bank. A clerk handed over a printed notice. The phone didn't stop ringing once the office door closed behind us. My attorney set her bag down and didn't sit. Bank first, she said. The speaker clicked on. We've reviewed the documentation, the banker said. Given the circumstances, Emily Hale's accounts are frozen pending investigation. Another call cut in before a response could form. The trust board this time. Formal tone, recorded line. We're convening an emergency session, the chair said. Until further notice, all disputed transactions are suspended. A third call followed, less patient than the others. Northridge's counsel again. Our client is reconsidering their position, he said. They're prepared to withdraw to limit exposure. My attorney took that one privately. When she came back, a single page slid across the table. This voids the sale, she said. Sign here. The pen moved without hesitation. Next came another packet. Bank records, email chains, copies of the medical timeline. Everything Emily had touched went into a folder marked for review. You're authorizing us to release this to opposing counsel and regulators, my attorney said. Do it. The phone rang again. Emily, this time. The call went unanswered. A junior associate poked his head in. "She's here," he said. "No meeting," my attorney replied. "Not without her lawyer." The door stayed closed. Voices carried faintly from the hall. Someone argued. Someone else said rules were rules. Maria arrived mid-morning with her laptop under one arm. "I've started calling clients," she said. Not to convince, just to clarify. Emails went out with attachments. Trust verification. Ownership records. A short note. Operations resuming under original management. Responses trickled back, some cautious, some relieved. Northridge's logo disappeared from the shop's online listing by noon. Another call from the bank confirmed the freeze. A second from the trust board confirmed authority reverted. Emily's attorney called shortly after. "My client requests time to address these matters," he said. "She has time," my attorney replied. "The accounts do not." A message buzzed in from Maria. 2 more contracts reinstated, she wrote. They asked for copies, that's all. By early afternoon, the locks were scheduled to be changed back. A locksmith confirmed availability. No commentary. A delivery driver called to ask where to unload. The address hadn't changed, just the names. Emily texted once. "You didn't have to do this." No reply followed. Another message came in later, shorter. "They won't help me." That one stayed unread. Paperwork stacked up again, but this time it moved in one direction. Release forms, notifications, a formal withdrawal filed by Northridge before close of business. My attorney checked the docket. "They're cutting losses," she said. No admission, no apology. That's fine. The trust board called back in the late afternoon. Vote concluded. Authority confirmed. "You're cleared to make beneficiary decisions," the chair said. "Effective immediately." The words settled without ceremony. Maria watched from the corner of the office. "You always said you didn't want to choose," she said. "Now it's required." The phone vibrated again. "Unknown number. Emily's attorney this time. She's seeking interim support," he said. "That's a trust decision," my attorney replied. "Yes," he said. "That's why I'm calling." "No interim distributions," she said. "Not under these facts." The line went dead. Outside traffic thickened. The city moved into the next part of the day without noticing the shift that had just happened. A final email came in from the trust board. Formal letter attached. Authorization granted. My attorney printed it and placed it on top of the file. "This changes everything," she said. The door opened as the printer finished. A courier waited, envelope ready. Signature required. Pen down. Paper handed over. Maria closed her laptop. "I'll be at the shop tomorrow," she said, "just to make sure things restart clean." "Thanks." She hesitated. "You okay working on it?" The final documents waited on the conference table, stacked in the order they needed to be signed. My attorney reviewed each page, marking tabs where signatures belonged. "This closes it," she said. No further filings on our side. A pen slid across. Names followed. Dates matched. The last signature dried without comment. Emily's situation was handled on paper, not in conversation. The fraudulent sale was formally recorded. The trust amendment removed her as a beneficiary. Notice of a separate civil action went out the same afternoon. No plea for reconciliation arrived, and none was expected. "All communication goes through counsel," my attorney said. "That's safest. That's fine." Outside the office, the sidewalk carried the usual foot traffic. People passed with phones pressed to their ears, schedules intact. Nothing about the day suggested a family line had been cut. The shop came back into view later that morning. The Northridge sign still hung above the entrance, held by the same bolts Maria had mentioned days earlier. A ladder leaned against the wall. A wrench waited on the workbench. Removing the sign took less effort than expected. Bolts loosened. Metal came down. It didn't clang. It didn't resist. It just stopped being there. A delivery truck pulled up while the ladder was being folded. "Where do you want this?" the driver asked. "Bay 2, Maria said, already unlocking the door. No speeches followed, no explanations offered. The crew went back to work with the same motions they'd used before the interruption. Machines started. Orders got checked. The schedule filled in around the gap left by the last few weeks. Someone asked whether the phone number stayed the same. It did. A client called to confirm dimensions on a table. The answer didn't change. By midday, the shop sounded like itself again. Not celebratory, just operational. A message from Emily's attorney arrived mid-afternoon. My client acknowledges receipt of the trust decision, it read. She requests reconsideration at a later date. The message stayed unanswered. It was forwarded, then archived. Maria stopped by the office with a printout. "Enrollment's open," she said. "The advanced course you mentioned." The page listed dates and locations. Another state. A workshop known for hand joinery and restoration. "That still happening?" she asked. "Yes." Payment went through before second thoughts could form. Confirmation followed. A calendar reminder landed on the phone. The rest of the day moved through smaller tasks. Inventory updated. A supplier confirmed next week's delivery. Payroll processed without delay. Near closing, a courier arrived with a single envelope. Emily's name sat on the return label care of her attorney. It contained nothing new. A statement of intent. A request for leniency. It went back into the envelope and into the outgoing mail tray marked for return. No call followed. Lights shut off section by section. Tools returned to their places. The floor swept clean, not out of habit, but because it needed doing. At the door, Maria paused. "You'll be gone for a bit," she said. "Couple weeks. I've got things covered." "I know." The lock turned. The gate slid into place. Keys went back into the pocket where they'd always stayed. The parking lot had thinned. A few cars pulled out ahead of me. The road opened. Nothing was taken from the office except a notebook already in the truck. No files came along. No reminders needed packing. The phone stayed face down on the seat. Messages could wait. The shop receded in the mirror as the truck moved forward. Not erased, just placed where it belonged behind me, functioning no longer under dispute.